Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep and building a step-by-step guide for one of the most talked about tools in AI right now, OpenClaw. And we're going to do it the right way, securely on AWS.
But before we even get our hands dirty, we have to understand the stakes. I love this quote from a security expert. A careless installation is a huge risk. And that right there, that's exactly why we're focusing so hard on a security-first approach in this explainer.
I mean, the hype around this is absolutely off the charts. Just look at these numbers. A single interview about it has over 1 million views. And tutorials? They're getting millions more. It's pretty clear everyone wants to get their hands on the power of these autonomous AI agents.
So let's do this properly. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the hype and, more importantly, the risks. Then we'll get into the secure blueprint using Docker. After that, it's all hands-on with a step-by-step AWS setup using EC2 and Bedrock. We'll wrap up with the final configuration and then talk about a really important mindset shift called Agent Ops.
Okay, let's just jump right in. You have to understand OpenClaw is not just another chatbot. Not at all. It's a self-hosted AI assistant that has the power to actually do things on your behalf. We're talking running commands, accessing your files, browsing the web, and that incredible power is exactly why we have to start this whole conversation with security.
Now, when you talk to security researchers, they bring up these 3 core risks that kind of stack on top of each other. And it's this combination that makes a default, careless installation so incredibly dangerous. They call it the lethal trifecta. Let's break that down.
So here it is. First, you've got persistence. This agent is always on, 24/7, just listening as long as that service is running. Second, autonomy. Now this is where it gets a little scary. It can try to fix its own mistakes. But what if that fix is deleting a whole bunch of files it wasn't supposed to? And finally, this is the big one, privilege. It runs with your user permissions. So if you can wipe your entire home directory with a single command, well, guess what? So can the agent.
So the big question is, how do we deal with all that risk? How do we get all that amazing power without opening ourselves up to disaster? Well, the answer is all about having a zero-trust mindset and using the right tool for the job. And that tool is containerization.
And that brings us to what I think is the absolute golden rule for a safe deployment. You should never, and I mean never, run an autonomous agent directly on your main computer or server, what we call bare metal.
And this shows you exactly why. If you install on bare metal, you're basically giving the agent the keys to the entire kingdom. We're talking all your files, your private keys, everything. One little mistake could be totally catastrophic. But if we use a Docker container, we create a sandbox. The agent is completely walled off, completely isolated. Any mistake it makes is safely contained inside that little box.
Okay, let's get practical. Let's see how we can actually build this secure setup on AWS. We're going to create our little isolated sandbox, but we're going to do it up in the cloud. First things first, we need to set up our virtual server, and we'll use Amazon's EC2 for that. You're going to want an instance with at least 4 gigs of memory to run smoothly. Then, you'll pick a standard Amazon Machine Image, or AMI. You can just think of that as the basic OS template for your server. Now, this next part is absolutely critical. You have to configure the security group to limit SSH access to your IP address and your IP address only. This is like putting a bouncer at the door who only lets you in.
All right, so once you're connected to your new server, we're going to use a single magic command. We're not doing some complicated manual install. No, this is a secure script that deploys OpenClaw for you safely inside a Docker container. It basically automates that whole process of building the secure, isolated sandbox we've been talking about.
So OpenClaw is installed, but it needs a brain, right? We need to give it some intelligence. We're going to do that by connecting it to Amazon Bedrock, which gives us access to all sorts of powerful AI models. There's a simple script you can run from the AWS Cloud Shell, and it'll create what's called an IAM role. That gives your instance secure, passwordless access to Bedrock. It's the right way to do it, following the principle of least privilege.
We are so close. We're almost there. This last phase is all about connecting our agent to the outside world so we can actually talk to it. And stick around, because I'm also going to share a crucial little tip for fixing a very common bug.
So, to actually use our agent, we'll hook it up to a messaging app like Telegram. It's pretty cool. You use this thing in Telegram called the Bot Father. Yes, that's its real name, to create your own bot. It'll give you a special API token. You just paste that token into your terminal when it asks for it, run one last command to approve everything, and boom, you've got a personal AI assistant you can command from anywhere in the world.
Okay, and here is that pro tip I promised. This could save you a huge headache. There's a known bug with newer versions of Node.js that can make your Telegram bot just stop responding. It goes silent because of a weird networking thing. If that happens to you, don't worry, the fix is super easy. Just add this one line to your dockercompose.yaml file. It forces the connection over something called IPv4, and that solves the problem pretty much every time.
Now, with your agent live and secure, the entire game changes. Seriously, the way you think about interacting with AI has to completely shift. We are moving way beyond just writing simple prompts.
And this is the most crucial point to understand. You've just graduated from prompt engineering to agent operations, or what people are calling agent ops. Think about it. With prompting, your input is text, and the output is just more text. The risk is pretty low. But with agent ops, your input is a goal, and the output is real-world action. The agent is executing commands, it's making changes, which means the risk is now very real and significant.
This new mindset means you have to start treating OpenClaw like it's a piece of critical infrastructure. As the operator, you've got new responsibilities. You have to isolate it, we did that with Docker. You have to track what it's doing by checking the logs. You have to limit its permissions, which we did with that IAM role, and you have to audit your setup and your security regularly. You know, a really good way to think about your agent is like a super capable but very inexperienced intern. If you manage it the right way, you restrict its access, you monitor what it's doing, it can be an absolutely incredible productivity tool. But if you don't have that robust security in place, that intern can quickly become a massive liability. The power and now the responsibility is completely in your hands. So the final question is, now that you have this secure foundation, how are you going to manage your agent's actions and unlock its true potential?